A ceasefire then, but one that requires a complete cessation of fire by Iran-backed Hezbollah. This agreed and signed in Washington between Israel and Lebanon. The agreement agreeing to create so-called pilot zones in which the Lebanese armed forces will take exclusive control of the territory to the exclusion of all non-state actors. Despite all that, we're already, though, getting reports coming in from Lebanon of Israeli airstrikes in the south of the country and as well air raid sirens ringing out in northern Israel. Well, let's hear, first of all, the outcome of those talks.
I think we achieved something today which is relatively unprecedented. Israel entered Lebanon after Hezbollah decided to join the war of Iran against Israel. And we're pushing Hezbollah back, and we've brought the people of Lebanon to the understanding that we're not the enemy, Hezbollah is. And now we're going to work together to rid the country of this Iranian proxy on Israel's border, which deprives Israel of its security and the Lebanese people of their freedom.
We have reached a ceasefire agreement between the two parties throughout Lebanon. We would like to thank President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Chief of Staff Dan Holler, Ambassador Michel Issa, and the entire team who worked on this agreement. This is a historic moment for Lebanon, and we are proud of it.
Well, let's talk about all the latest then with Rochelle Ferguson-Bouyahi from our International Affairs Desk. Rochelle, what do we know then about the basis for the ceasefire based on what we heard there?
Well, look, I'll start off, Stuart, by just saying that in the latest news, the Israeli military has said that in South Lebanon, fighting there is continuing. They've warned Lebanese residents to move south. If we come back to your question, Stuart, on what's actually entailed in this ceasefire, the United States is billing this as, if you will, a way to shore up security independent of Hezbollah in Lebanon. We can bring up for you what formed the basis or what the contingent of this ceasefire was. So a complete cessation of attacks from Hezbollah, among other conditions. The second one is the evacuation of all Hezbollah operatives from the South Litani River. Just a reminder to our viewers that that is an area that Israel controls in southern Lebanon. It's roughly 30 kilometres north of the Israel-Lebanon border. And then finally, this idea that the United States has put forward that somehow the Lebanese army would become the key players here. They would kind of shore up security in what would be known as pilot zones that would be exclusive of any non-state actors, of course, referring to Hezbollah for that. So this is shaky to say the least. And I started off by saying, you know, that the fighting continues this morning. That's certainly the latest news we've got in. It's worth saying that there was a partial ceasefire put in place just on Monday. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had agreed then not to strike Lebanon in exchange for Hezbollah not striking Israel. He said, however, that it would continue in southern Lebanon, Israeli operations there. We know that according to Lebanon's health ministry, just overnight, 9 people were killed. So this is a very shaky truce then, even off the back of what was agreed in Washington. We know it would be the 4th round of talks. June 22nd then, those diplomats from the Israeli side, from the Lebanese side will once again get together. But it's not promising at this stage. Hezbollah, it's worth saying, hasn't agreed to abide by any of the cessation of hostilities that comes out of Washington. So both sides then, on officially speaking, yes, there's a ceasefire, but actually on the ground, it's not what's happening at all.
Another development overnight, which is very much related as well, of course, the US House voting to halt the Iran war. It's a rebuke to Donald Trump, this, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. Some have called it a spectacular rebuke of the US president, which would be aimed at halting military action in Iran. That vote then, 215 to 208. Why? Because 4 Republicans jumped camp, you might say, heading onto the Democrat side, saying that ultimately this is, you know, more of a show of disapproval for this war. It's the 4th attempt. And yes, while it's good news, while this resolution has finally been voted, there would have to be a lot of steps in place before this would actually mean anything. I can bring up just a kind of, you know, review of what that would mean if this resolution were to be approved by the Republican-controlled US Senate, then it would be unlikely to restrain all of the US military's action in Iran. So that's the first thing. This wouldn't be a kind of holistic end to the military action there. Also, Donald Trump would have the possibility, as US president, to veto that measure. And if he were to veto that, overriding that veto would be complicated in itself because it would require 2/3 majority of both chambers to nullify it. So it's symbolic, it's powerful, it shows you that there is a growing and consistent low support for this war. Again, Republicans, they are fearful. Why? Because, with rising fuel costs, they're afraid that this is going to hit them where it hurts in congressional midterms that are set for November. From the Democratic side, they've got, clear issues. Of course, the fuel prices are problematic, but they also say we're no further achieving this kind of war-stated aims that Donald Trump gave at the beginning of this military intervention. And also, in terms of a diplomatic solution for Iran's nuclear projects or nuclear program, we're no further with that either. So rebuke from Republicans, but also from Democrats as well.
Rochelle, thanks very much. Rochelle Ferguson-Bouyahi from our International Affairs Desk.